Hey everyone, for some reason, I really don't know why, my outside camera for my phone, like the better one, doesn't want to work. I hit the button and it just sits there. Maybe it's because I dropped it in a mop bucket, yeah, and it survived somehow, so I'm like preaching for that, just so happy. I really don't know how it survived, but it did. My phone's alive. And I can use it still, but I guess there's some things that won't work. So, not as good quality for this video, but it's still gonna do the point that I want. And that's gonna talk about this week's topic, and that is discrimination towards modified people. I see discrimination as, anyone who doesn't necessarily understand modifications or stretching your ears. But it's not that just they don't understand it. It's the fact that they're going to put you down or put the person that they're looking at down, whether it's verbally, the way they look at them, their body language, anything like that. Like, I've even been discriminated towards on the internet, and I've seen that happen so many times. Like, on one of my YouTube videos about, what is it? I can't even remember what it was right now. But a guy tried to tell me that I was ashamed of my septum piercing because I wore a retainer. Even though I clearly, in the video, and told him once again that I had to wear a retainer because of work reasons and for having to hide it because of my family. And that's another part of the discrimination, is that myself personally has always been, like, not necessarily like fully discriminated to the point that, like, I don't want to live here anymore, or that is to like an extreme, but both my parents don't understand completely why I stretch my ears and why I've been planning to get heavily tattooed for years. They don't understand it, and sometimes they go a little bit too far by, I've been told that I'm disfiguring myself, been told that I don't look as good as I used to be, and then sometimes I almost like put it in the way that my mother has control over how I stretch my ears, and sometimes I just want to be like, like, I'm almost 20 years old. I understand that you don't like it, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to understand or accept modifications, but, and this goes for anyone that doesn't understand them, is that I don't care if you don't like them, but just please be respectful towards me, because I don't go out into public and I see a woman who's 50 years old and bleaches her hair, and I don't go up to her and give her weird, like, looks and say, oh, that's not right, you shouldn't be dyeing your hair, you're old, you're like aging and you're gonna be wrinkly anyways, so, you're altering your true self, and that must mean you don't have any self-confidence, or blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. We don't do that. Modified people that I don't know of, I've never seen someone do that, so I guess it's really because modification and stretching your ears and scarification or whatever it is kind of not the norm. People dye their hair all the time, women do it, no big deal. Like, it's never been thrown under the bus and put as, tattooing back in the day. Only bikers and badasses and people who were associated with troublemaking apparently got tattoos, or people who stretch their ears for the same thing. Dyeing your hair or even plastic surgery don't have that. And then plastic surgery is still, in my opinion, a type of body modification. You're altering your body and your image to the way that you please, either for your own personal reasons or to look better. That's still modifying your body, changing your body. And not many people get discriminated for plastic surgery. I mean, some might. If you look like a plastic Barbie doll, people will be like, oh, you're so fake. But I've also, personally, I guess I'll talk now personally, stories, I guess, that of me being discriminated, and I bet many people will relate to this too. Going out in public, sometimes, especially people that have very big stretched ears, will get the looks and will get the kind of second glances, and because people don't like them. And there's always, like, when I had my hair, like, half my head shaved, I got kind of weird looks going into town, especially the small town area that I live in. There's a lot of older people in the older generation, and a lot of them we're grown up on, strict beliefs, whether that's religious or whatever. That's not my understanding because I didn't live with them, but, they'll always look at you different. And I personally don't really care that much if they just kind of give me weird looks and walk by. I'm going to move on. I'm going to continue to find my groceries. That's the end of it. But if they ever came up to me and, started being disrespectful towards me, I'm not going to let them do that. I'm not going to be rude, but I'm going to explain to them, this is my body. This is the way I choose to live my life. If you give me the decency to live my life and move on, then we don't need to talk anymore. I wouldn't want to get into an argument over it or really have to explain myself unless I had to. This is basically that. I was going to say something else. Another story. I find that, and I noticed what Cosmo said in his video about discrimination, is that I found that so many of the older generation are much more accepting. And I don't mean like people who are 40, like baby boomers. I've talked to people in Walmart. Okay, it's the weirdest thing. Whenever I go to Walmart, I don't know why, the last couple times, the women at the cash that I go to always ask me about my ears. And they'll always be like, there was one that was like, oh, those are really cool, but doesn't that hurt? Typical question. And I was like, no, if you do it slow and you do it properly, it shouldn't hurt. And I always say, it can hurt if you do it improperly, and then you'll really mess up your ears with scar tissue. And she said, oh, that's gross. And it seems like that the older ones are much more accepting. Some, not all, but they think it's cool. I had an older woman, I swear she's probably like in her 70s, and she told me that I suited my ears very well. She said, you're a very handsome man in the first place, and those are very interesting to have with yourself. And I was like, oh, alright. And I just took it as a compliment. I was working, gave her a coffee, and off she went, told her she had a good day. And I've seen her again, she said the same thing, and that's really cool. Old people liking modifications. So, yeah, discrimination sucks, but you shouldn't let it bother you. We're here to live our lives and alter our body the way we want to, as long as it's safely. Who cares? I'm modifying my body for many reasons, and so many other people, and that's what I'm going to do because it makes me feel happy, it makes me feel good, I enjoy it, it feels a part of me now, and as long as people don't discriminate, which they will, they don't discriminate directly towards me, then I'm not going to have a problem. But we're always going to live in like a world like this, fueled by violence and hate and negative things. But if you kind of look past that and kind of just ignore all that, then we'll be good, So keep on living. Hope to see you guys soon, and signing off for now.